All right, good afternoon, everyone. We just wanted to meet here today, have a little conversation about the events that occurred yesterday at the Justice Center. So I am Deputy Chief Sidney Collier, Richmond Police Department. So yesterday there was a scheduled protest down at the Justice Center that was supposed to start around 1700 hours. The protest was called the Freedom Wall Sit-In at the jail. So the Sheriff's Department was notified of this protest. They were on scene and they were managing it. They called us and asked us for some assistance with the protest in regards to the protesters encroaching upon the sheriff's property. We responded to the location to assist them. When we got there, we noticed that there was parking violations that were in front of the jail, and we chose to address those parking violations. In doing so, we called for some tow trucks to come to the location. And when the tow trucks got to the locations, one of the protesters tried to stop the tow truck from towing a vehicle that was illegally parked. This protester was repeatedly asked to move from the location, that he was in violation and he could not obstruct the tow truck from doing what they were supposed to do. As the officers approached this protester, he then rode off on his bicycle to elude capture from the officers. As he was riding away, another officer in the area in an unmarked vehicle pulled up, and he tried to elude him by going around him, and the officer got out of the vehicle and tackled the individual on the bicycle to arrest him. Once he was being arrested, other protesters then came over in an attempt to de-arrest him or prevent him from being arrested by the officers. At this point, the protester on the bicycle and the other protesters who intervened with the officers were arrested. They were taken into the Justice Center and processed there. In total, there were 11 protesters arrested for various charges. And as always, as we state, we do our best to facilitate peaceful protest. We support peaceful protest, and that's it. Any questions? Yes.
Can you tell me about one of these charges? Alex Oxford, who's charged with obstruction of justice with force, says that that's not the correct charge. There seems to be some discrepancy. Are you certain that what's on the paper here is the correct charge?
Yes, so from what I know, from what's on the paper and for which was written last night, he was charged with force and resisting arrest and pushing the officers away.
So what did she do exactly? She pushed them?
So I don't have the exact specifics as to what he did. You can get that when he shows up in court. It'll be on the report.
Can you talk about I know there's a continuum of force and an idea that you're supposed to use the same amount of force that you're being met with. Can you talk about the force used against that first protester who was arrested
Which one in particular?
The bicyclist? His attorney has said that the force used was egregious.
So I disagree with that. So the force is met with force, right? But he's eluding, right? He's trying to avoid capture. Okay, so at some point the officer has to stop him in order to engage him, in order to arrest him. And so as long as he's trying to elude, the officer used the only option he had to stop him while he was on a bicycle.
Are any of the officers involved with yesterday their actions being looked at in any way for excessive use of force?
For excessive use of force?
Yeah.
What part of it you would call excessive?
Well, that officer or that person's attorney has said that was an egregious use of force. So.
Okay, so that attorney and that individual has a right to file a complaint, and so they can come down and file a complaint, and we will definitely look into it.
So no complaints have been filed?
No complaints have been filed at this point. Sir?
Officers injuries while doing this?
I do not have any reports of any injuries at this point, at this moment, no.
Are you planning on releasing any sort of body footage or any footage that might have been, was there any sort of footage obtained that you can share?
So no, right at this point, no. I mean, there's the video out there. I think everything is self-explanatory in the video from all the media that was there on scene. Is there something else in particular you're looking for?
Yes, is there body cam footage? Was the officer wearing a body cam when he arrested the person to flee?
So that particular officer did not have his body cam on at that time.
Was there any on inside the vehicle, or do y'all still use vehicles?
No, we don't use vehicle cams anymore.
Were there any officers around that area that had any body cam?
I'm sure there were. I don't have that information right now, but I will have to get that and get it back to you.
Are you proud of the way that your officers responded to this situation, or is there anything that you think they could have done better?
So, in hindsight, it's always easy to Monday morning quarterback, right? But when you're out there and you're in the middle of it, it's your responsibility to do the best that you can. So, in the officer trying to stop an individual that's trying to elude, who's been told repeatedly to move from in front of the tow truck, now he chooses not to be arrested and trying to escape. I think the officer did what he had to do to bring that situation to a conclusion.
Where can these protesters go to spread their message without being stopped?
So you can protest, but you have to be peaceful, right? And then if you're told that you're in violation of something, then you have to adhere to that advice, right? So if the sheriff's department told them you cannot be on our property, then they could have came back to the sidewalk and peacefully protest on the sidewalk, but they chose not to. And then if you're gonna stand in front of a truck and say, well, I don't care what you're doing, I'm gonna stop you, you're in violation. If you wanna peacefully protest, get from in front of the tow truck.
Is the jail property not public property?
I can't speak for what the jail property is or not, I do not know. You have to ask them that.
So you were called there for
To assist, we were called to assist with the protest, yes.
The statute that prevents a person from trying to stop a tow truck driver, can you go into that about how that's illegal?
So it's just called obstruction, okay? It's just the obstruction. So we've made the decision that cars were illegally parked and we weren't told. So we called the tow truck. So as the tow truck comes, the obstruction that tow truck for doing a lawful act is which towing the vehicle that's illegally parked, okay? And that's when the obstruction come in. They're obstructing, excuse me, that individual from performing a legal function.
How long do you think you were standing in front of the tow trucks? I mean, how can you give like
So
a
I didn't time them. You would have to watch the video and time them yourself. I don't have a time frame. But he was asked repeatedly to move.